Welcome to another Tech Help video brought to you by AccessLearningZone.com. I'm your instructor, Richard Rost. In today's video, we're going to talk about importing a text file into your Microsoft Access database. Now, yesterday, I showed you how to export data from your database, either a table or a query or whatever, as a text file. And this is great if you want to send it to someone and you don't know what they've got software-wise. They could have Excel, they could have Access, they could have a text editor, they can just have email, whatever. At least they can still work with the data. So in today's video, we're going to learn how to import that data back in, or you can do this with any old text file that you happen to get. But I'm going to show you specifically how to handle the text file that we exported yesterday, which is a delimited text file where the first row has the field names, all that good stuff. But let's talk about some prerequisites because I got a couple things I want you to know before we get started today. Obviously, if you have not watched the export text video, go watch this first. Very important. I also have covered a lot of this before in my import data video. So go watch this first. This will give you a leg up on understanding how importing works in general. I cover importing from text and also from Excel in a couple of different formats. So go watch this guy. Now, again, I am going to show a non-programming expert method followed by a VBA method for the developer people. Okay, so if you want to learn the developer method, go watch Intro to VBA. All right, get you started learning how to program in about 20 minutes. Now, I don't like importing data directly into whatever table you want to import it. I like to bring it into a temporary table first. Okay, so we're going to use a delete query to clear out that temporary table or to clear out the customer table once we verify the data is correct. So go watch this video on delete queries. And then we have to copy that data into the existing customer table. So go watch this video on append queries to append a set of data. And finally, in the VBA solution, it's always nice to ask the user if they're sure before they commit to something that's going to potentially delete their customer table. So go watch this message box video to learn how to make an "Are you sure" prompt. I'm going to show you how to do it, but this will give you more details. These are all free videos. They're on my website. They're on my YouTube channel. Go watch those and then come on back. Okay, so in yesterday's video, we exported our customer table with a special query, and we created a text file. I actually created two of them. Here's the one from the extended cut. It's the same thing. Here, I'll show it to you. It's the same data. I just did it a different way. I showed them a different way to do it, okay? But either one of these will work. Doesn't matter. I'll just delete one of these so we don't have two of them sitting around here. Okay, so let's pretend I'm the sales rep, and you just sent me this customer text, and I want to get this into my copy of the database. The nice thing about this is you can make a copy of this, give it to your sales rep. They can install the runtime edition of Access, right, which is perfectly free, and they can run your database and import your data without having to buy their own copy of Access. Only the developers need their own purchased copy of Access. If they're just going to use your database, they don't need to. Want to learn more about that? Go watch my Access runtime video. I explain all about it. All right, so let's open up the database. And in here, we're going to run through almost kind of a reverse of what we did before to export it. All right, we're going to go to external data, and then in the import and link section, go to new data source, from file, and then pick text file. Okay. Now we're going to browse to our file, which again, for me is going to be on my desktop, which is here. And then my MyDB folder, and there's my customer.txt. Hit open. Now, I'm assuming in this case, you're sending them a replacement of your customer data, okay? So they're going to want to eventually delete what they've got and import this. What I like to do in this case is I like to import the data into a temporary table. That way you can examine it, you can look at it, make sure everything's good, and then append that data into your customer table after you delete the existing customer records. I don't like to bring stuff straight into the customer team. That's just my method. You can do whatever you want. Or if you're adding records, let's say you're giving them new customers to import into their database, they can just do the append here. They can append them right in. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to import the data into a new table. We're going to create a new table to put this in. All right, hit OK. All right, delimited is correct, right? The comma delimiter, hit next. All right, the delimiter is the comma. The text qualifier is quotes. That's fine. The first row contains the field names. Yep. Make sure you click on that. Hit next. Now you can go down and specify options for each one of these if you want to. You don't really have to because eventually we're going to take these and append them over into our actual customer table. So for example, this will be turned into an auto number. All of these things will have their own formats associated with them with whatever you have specified in the customer table, because we're not going to really use this temporary table much. All right, but if you want to come in here and skip fields, let's say you don't want to import the email, you can click on skip. I'm not going to do that just now. I'm going to show you something with this in just a few minutes though. All right, hit next. You can let Access add a primary key, in which case it'll add an auto number. You can choose your own. In this case, I'm just going to pick no primary key because, again, we're going to be taking this data and throwing it into the customer table later. So that's going to get set up for us automatically. Next. But if you're planning on keeping this, right, if you're importing a new table and you're going to keep it around, sure, pick your own primary key, make it the customer, whatever you want to do. All right, hit next. Import to table. Let's call it customer temp T. All right, and then hit finish. Okay, now, very important, click on save import steps just like we did before. Let's change this to import customer with no hyphen in there. Get rid of that stupid hyphen. Hyphens and spaces are bad. Bad. All right, hit save import, and everything's jolly. Okay. If you want to look at it, just right again over here, right? Saved imports and saved exports. These buttons go to the same place, people. It's the same thing. Brings you right here. Saved imports, saved exports. If you want to run this again, there it is. Click on it, hit run just like last time. All right, same stuff. Okay, let's go take a look at the data though. Here it is, customer temp T. There we go. Okay, brought in all those fields from that text file. Notice that if you go to design view, customer ID is not an auto number. That's okay. We're going to bring it into the customer table in a minute. All right. So if you want to, you can make a button to import the data that'll bring it into here. Then you can open up this table if you want to, give the user the opportunity to check everything over, make sure it's okay, right? Look over there over. And then you can make a second button to actually erase the customer table and then append all this stuff into that table if you want. Okay. I'm going to do it all in one step, but I like to show you this method because I like to do the multi-step method. I don't like to just immediately bring everything over into the customer table. But let's make the button and ignore the spec button that was from the extended cut yesterday. Let's copy this guy, copy paste, and this will be import customers. All right, import button is fine. Right click, build event. All right, I'm right down there. Okay, here's your command. You ready? It's do command dot, same thing as last time. Run, saved, import, export. What was the command? It was import customer. That was the specification we just made. I don't like to use the word specification because it's not an import export specification. That's what we covered in the extended cut. This is a saved import. Very important distinction. Okay, then again, status, import complete, and then a beep. How's that sound? All right, save it. Now this, if you run this again, this will just bring that data back into your customer temp. So if I come in here, let's say, and delete all this, okay, if I run that again, if I run this again, done, right? And then there it is. I just refreshed the temporary table. Okay. All right, so once I got that data in here, all right, I want to delete whatever is in the customer table and then append the data from here into there. Makes sense? So we're going to use two queries to do this, a delete query and an append query. And yes, you can do it straight with SQL without making queries, but I'm going to show you the query method first because I know a lot of you don't necessarily want to learn programming, and that's okay. So you can do it with queries if you want to, manually with queries. So create, query design, we'll make the delete query first. All right, we can get this, turn this thing off here, turn this thing off here. All right, go to delete, and then we're going to bring in the customer table. Okay, bring down the star, and it says customer T from. So it's going to delete all the records from the customer table. Be very, very careful before you do this. Back up your data. All right, if you have not yet, go watch my backup video. Very important. Okay, don't complain to me if you wipe out your customer table. Go watch this. All right, so we're going to save this as my customer delete queue. Okay, don't run it yet. I mean, you can run it if you want to, but now let's make the append query to copy the temp data over into customer T. All right, so we're going to create query design, make an append query. We're appending into the customer table. right? That's where the records are going to. And what are you bringing in? Well, we're bringing in the customer temp data and bring down that star. Or if you only want certain fields, you can pull in certain fields. All right, save it. This will be the customer append queue. And yes, if you're sharp, you noticed a problem already, which we're going to get to in a second. All right, save that, close it. All right, so here comes some more VBA. Let's put this in our same button. You can make a second button if you want to. Like I said, if you want to open up the table and check it out and make sure everything's good, that's up to you. All right, but here comes the second bit of VBA. Again, if you do this if you don't want to run the queries manually. Okay, now the first thing I like to do before I run any of this is to tell the user, hey, are you sure you want to do this? It's going to delete your existing customer list. That's why I had you watch the Are You Sure video before, right? So if message box, what's your prompt? This will delete your current customers. Are you sure? That's a bit too much. Okay, are you sure? Okay. And we're going to go VB yes, no, cancel plus VB critical. Critical. Okay. Comma, what do you want for a title? Import customers. And the rest of it's fine. All right. Whatever they answer to that, if they click anything but yes, then exit sub. I like to give them yes, no, cancel, as I explained in the other video, because if they're not sure, they're likely to hit cancel, which is fine. Only a response of yes will continue the code. Okay. Then we will run our import to import the data in. Now, when you run these queries, it's going to throw off some warning messages. It's going to say, hey, you're about to delete so many records. You're about to append so many records. I like to turn those warnings off. Now, I have them turned off on my system just in the general options because I don't like to see them ever. If you want to learn more about that, go watch this video on suppressing warnings. But if you give this database to someone else, okay, they might not have those settings. So I like to turn the warnings off when I run this in addition to my having it in the settings. So if I give the database to somebody else, it'll not show them those warnings too. So here I'm going to throw in a do command dot set warnings, and then we're going to say false. And don't forget to, oops, I hit the wrong key there. And don't forget to turn them back on again when you're done. Otherwise, it'll stay off. All right, so maybe right here, say true. Okay. Then we're going to basically run both of our queries. So do command dot open query customer delete queue, do command dot open query customer append queue. And that, as they say, is that. Right? Ask them if they're sure, turn the warnings off, import the data, delete the existing customers, append the temp customers into the customer table, turn the warnings back on, and then let them all know we're all done. Okay? Okay, save it, close it, let's reopen it again. Ready? Hit the import button, and this will delete your current customers. Are you sure? Yep. Runtime error 3127. The insert into statement contains the following unknown field, LF. Make sure you've typed the name correctly and try the operation again. What's an insert into statement? Well, insert into is the SQL, the language under queries, right? The SQL for an append query. So something's wrong with our append query. It contains the following unknown field. What does that mean? What's LF? Oh, LF. Oh, LF is that calculated field we made that goes last name, first name. That doesn't exist in the customer T. We created it in this query. So we can't import it into the customer table if the field doesn't exist in the customer table. So there's a couple things you can do. I'm going to hit end. You could go back and redo that specification, right? So that you don't import that field. Remember I showed you before? Right? Remember I showed you that option? Do not import the field. That's one way you could do it. Okay. Or you could go into the append query and instead of bringing in the star, all the records, you could just bring in the individual records that you want. That's another option. That's option 2. Okay. Or I'm going to take the cheesy third option. I'm just going to add LF to the customer table. Now, I don't recommend doing this because LF is a calculated field and we wouldn't want that in the customer table under most circumstances. But just for class, I'm going to do the simple thing. All right. So I showed you the 2 right ways you could fix it. Don't do what I just did. All right. But I wanted to leave that in there because this happens a lot when we do append queries. All right, so let's go ahead and run that again. Import customers. Are you sure you want to blah, 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 blah? Okay, yep. And done. This time it's done. All right, we got through it. Now let's go take a look at the actual data in the customer table this time. Okay, all right, looks all good. Let's scroll over to the right here and oh, wait a minute. Hold on, what happened? What happened? This stuff wasn't supposed to be in there. These are the fields that I specifically did not export, right? Remember from the other class? All right, if you look in the customer table, that stuff's not in there. I didn't want the sensitive financial data getting out. So what happened? Well, we've got warnings turned off, and I wanted to bring up this point because if you do turn warnings off, you're not going to see any of the warnings. Okay? So let's go explicitly turn those warnings back on. I like to do I like to bring this up because this happens a lot, but I'm going to turn these on real quick just so you can see what's going on. Okay, let's run it now. All right, it's going to delete everybody. Are you sure? Yes. All right. Can't delete 15 records due to key violations. Okay, and 0 records to lock violations. That's fine. What does that mean? 15 records due to key violations? I'm not sure why you can't delete records due to key violations. Okay, yeah, I want to run it. Okay, go ahead. And then, okay, I didn't add 15 records due to key violations. What's going on here? Why wouldn't you be able to delete records because of key violations? Well, the problem is I have referential integrity on in this database. That's why this is an expert level video, folks. Expert level. Right? Remember this thing? Expert, where are you? This guy. Yeah. Well, what's referential integrity? In case you don't know, it's when you make a join between two tables at the database level and you say, hey, I'm going to enforce referential integrity so you can't delete a customer if it's got related records in another table. Okay? So in order for us to do what we want to do, we have to turn off that referential integrity. All right, database tools, relationships. Here's customers to orders. Open up the join properties for that guy and turn off referential integrity. Now, this means you will be able to delete customers even if they have orders in the system, which I don't recommend. I've got whole separate videos on how to prevent people from deleting records. I like to use my own methods for that. I don't like to rely on referential integrity for this. But if you want to do an import where you delete these and then replace them, you can't have that on. All right, so once you're done with that, save it, close it, and now hit the import button. All right, go ahead. And we're done. We're good. Let's check out our customer table. Okay, everyone looks good. Slide to the right over there. Okay, beautiful. None of this stuff came in. That means those are the new records. And if you want to see, if you want to make sure, go to design view. I like to put down here a last updated. Watch this, last updated. Make that a date time value and make the default value in here be equal to now, just like that. All right, save it. Now, existing records won't have that value set, right? Right? Because it doesn't affect existing records when you add a field instead of default value. But if I do this and import a new set of records and I come in here and look, now you can see that, look at that. They all have an updated date of right now. And that's correct. That's the current date and time. Now, another thing I should mention is because this table was empty, okay, when I imported those records using an append query, it slid them all in here and kept their customer IDs. All right, if you had other records in here, especially records that had the same IDs, that wouldn't have worked. All right, that's a trick you can use to get an auto number back too. I got a whole separate video on that one. All right, if you use an append query and bring in an ID, it will slide into an auto number. Okay, so this works if you're sharing data with your sales reps, right? And you've got customer ID 5 and he's got the same customer ID, you might have orders in the system too, and they still stay related, and that's a good thing. Now, it doesn't always work that easily though. So if you want to make sure that you're importing records and their related child records like customers and orders and contacts and all that stuff, I got a whole separate video on how all that works. So go watch this too. But in this particular case, it worked fine for us, right? Because we're sharing the same list of customers. So there you have it. That's how you import the customers that we exported yesterday. Now, in the extended cut for the members, we're going to use that TransferText again, and we're going to see how that works with our VBA code, and we're going to use SQL only. I'll rewrite those those queries that we made, that append and delete queries. We'll rewrite those in SQL, so we don't need to make any supplemental queries too. All right, that's all coming up in the extended cut for the members. Silver members and up get access to all my extended cut videos. And that will be your tech help video for today. I hope you learned something. Live long and prosper. I'll see you next time. If you enjoyed this video, please give me a thumbs up and post any comments you may have below. I do try to read and answer all of them as soon as I can. Make sure you subscribe to my channel, which is completely free. Click the bell icon and select all to receive notifications when new videos are posted. Want to learn more? Click the Show More link below the video to find additional resources and links. YouTube does a pretty good job of hiding it. It's right down there. See this part of the description here, right? The name, the video's up here. There's a little Show More down there, right down the bottom. It's kind of hard to find. But once you click on that, you'll see a list of other videos, additional information related to the current topic, free lessons, and lots more. And YouTube no longer sends out email notifications when new videos are posted like they used to do. But if you'd like to get an email every time I post a new video, click on the link to join my mailing list. And you can pick how frequently to get emails from me, either as they happen, daily, weekly, or monthly. Now, if you'd like to become a paid member of my channel and receive all kinds of awesome perks, click on the Join button. You'll see a list of all the different membership levels that are available, each with its own special perks, including my extended cut videos, access to my code vault, lots of VBA source code in there, template downloads, and lots more. I'll talk more about these perks at the end of the video. Even if you don't want to commit to becoming a paid member and you'd like to help support my work, please feel free to click on the tip jar link. Your patronage is greatly appreciated and will help keep these free videos coming. I got some puppies to feed. But don't worry, no matter what, these free tech help videos are going to keep coming. As long as you keep watching them, I'll keep making more, and they'll always be free. Now, if you really want to learn Access and you haven't tried my free Access Level 1 course, check it out now. It covers all the basics of Microsoft Access, including building forms, queries, reports, and more. It's over 4 hours long. You can find it on my website or on my YouTube channel. I'll put a link down below you can click on. And did I mention it's completely free? The whole thing, free, 4 hours. Go watch it. And okay, a lot of you have told me that you don't have time to sit through a 4-hour course. So I do now have a quicker Microsoft Access for Beginners video that covers all the basics faster in about 30 minutes. And no, I didn't just put the video on fast forward. But I'll put a link to this down below as well. Now, if you like level 1, level 2 is just $1. That's it, $1. And that's another whole 90-minute course. Level 2 is also free for paid members of any level, including supporters. So if you're a member, go watch level 2. It's free. Okay, want to get your question answered in a video just like this one? Visit my tech help page and send me your question there. Members get priority, of course. While I do try to read and respond to all of the comments posted below in the comments section, I only have time to go through them briefly a couple of times a month, and sometimes I get thousands of them. So send me your question here on the tech help page, and you'll have a better chance of getting it answered. And while you're on my website, be sure to stop by my Access forum. We've got lots of lively conversations about Microsoft Access and other topics. I have a fantastic group of moderators who help me answer questions. Shout out to Alex, Kevin, Scott, Adam, John, Dan, Juan, and everybody else who helps out on the site. I appreciate everything you do. I couldn't do it without you. Be sure to follow my blog, find me on Twitter, and of course on YouTube. Yeah, I'm on Facebook too, but I don't like Facebook. Don't get me started. Now, let's talk more about those member perks if you do decide to join as a paid member. There are different levels: Silver, Gold, Platinum, and Diamond. Silver members and up get access to all of my extended cut tech help videos, one free beginner class every month, and some other perks. Gold members get all the previous perks, plus access to download the sample databases that I build in my tech help videos, plus access to my code vault where I keep tons of different functions that I use the code that I build in most of the videos. You'll also get higher priority if you do submit any tech help questions. Now, answers are never guaranteed, but you do go higher in the list for me to read them. And if I like your question, you got a good chance of it being answered. You'll also get one free expert level class each month after you've finished the beginner series. Platinum members get all the previous perks plus even higher priority for tech help questions. You get access to all of my full beginner level courses for every subject. And I cover lots of different subjects like Word, Excel, VBA, ASP, lots of different stuff, not just Access. These are the full-length courses found on my website. You get all the beginner ones. In addition, once you finish the expert classes, you get one free developer class per month. So lots of training. And finally, you can also become a Diamond sponsor. You'll have your name or your company name listed on a sponsors page that will be shown on each video as long as you're a sponsor. You'll get a shout out in the video and a link to your website or product in the text below the video and on my website. So that's it. Once again, my name is Richard Rost. Thank you for watching this video brought to you by accesslearningzone.com. I hope you enjoyed. I hope you learned something today. Live long and prosper, my friends. I'll see you again soon.